Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Disruption Podcast.
Yes, sir.
It's Noor.
It's Chief Al-Saji in the building, baby.
It's your girl, Maweezy.
And you got the Prince. Was good.
Today we're joined by a special guest, Lydia Tesema.
Come on. I know you saw the little quick glimpse in the camera. Yeah, we got a special guest in the building with us today.
He was good.
I know, yeah. Which one do you want?
You got angles today.
Nah. Thank you for coming through.
Yeah, welcome.
How you feeling?
Feeling good. I'm feeling good. Mandela drove me here.
Come on.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Shout out to
Mandela.
Shout out to Mandela in the background, the raw freshness.
He's the one that introduced us, right?
Yeah.
He was, for sure.
I guess we can tell that story, huh? We may as well start off with that, eh?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. So like, literally in the span of this is how quick things happen. In the span of 1 week, less than as well. Yeah. Span of less than a week. So we're at Brian Summer Jam. Shout out to them. Shout out to the organizer of that. Yo, English has run away already. Yeah, shout out to the organizers of that. Yeah, it was a dope kind of event for the community. To see people showcase their basketball skills, but also just to be around people and good vibes, right? And as we're chilling, I see the raw freshness pulls up. The funny part is, during the event, yeah, we're like, where's raw freshness?
Here, bro.
This is his event, this is his type of thing. Yo. And then obviously in fashion, man pulls out fashion
He knows
really
how
late.
to make an interest, bro.
Yeah,
He knows.
And you know how to come in, you know what I mean? You had to come in fresh, you know what I'm saying? Yeah? You came in at the right time in that. Anyways, yeah, so we chill, we see our guy. Anyways, the event ends and all that. And I was like, yo, hey man, I saw you at a dope event a couple of weeks back. Do you know Lydia? He's like, oh, Lydia? Yeah? She's right here. I'll show you right now. I was like,
He's like, hey, Lydia, come here.
Bro.
I'll introduce you to someone.
and boom, just like that, we're chatting. And then here we are, man.
I
So
love the
shout
guy.
out to you for setting that up. But yeah.
And he was looking around like, who else you guys want to meet?
I was like, I was scared to say any name. But yeah. And that's how this kind of came about. And here we are, shooting the episode. Yeah.
How was your day though?
Today's been pretty calm. Last weekend being like the last weekend of summer. I feel like people just jam-packed their events on like
Definitely.
Friday, Saturday, and
Yeah.
Sunday. So I'm trying to tell myself, like, girl, just take it easy. You know what I mean?
Take a break.
Yeah, so just a few calm errands this morning. You know,
Now we got you working instead.
I know, yeah.
this is fun.
Yeah,
On
it's
the chill weekend that you wanted to have and everything. Yeah, man.
No, this is chill.
It's chill. All right, say less. Oh,
Plan anything for the long weekend though? Or like you actually doing anything? Like
I'm not actually
for yourself?
For myself, like, yeah, I'll probably end up doing something for myself, but I really just want to just be calm.
Just
this
vibe.
weekend. Yeah, just chill out. My thing
Try
right on?
push those aside. Separate. Does anything happen?
Wait, what?
There you go. Yep.
Now we're live. I wasn't
I
live.
think it was calm, but we'll see. Hey,
Okay.
for the, you know what I mean, a little 20 seconds of her telling us what the week was. She was saying, yeah, this is the highlight of my week being here with the Discussion Podcast. I could not wait to get down. I know, but here we are. Yeah. Now that's chill.
This week I'm low key. Like
Low-key?
you won't catch me on the
No,
streets.
Are you normally out and about or what?
This
I
is just
am.
the haps though.
I'm usually out and about. Like
Yeah.
I'm always at an event or like at someone's birthday or something like that, or a project or something will come up.
When we say event, what are we talking about? Like, what kind of vibes are you?
The vibes I usually go for. I have a few really close friends who are DJs, so they're like being picked up for like different events all the time. Afro beats, anything kind of soul session vibey, so like live music. My older sister's like a singer, so
Yeah.
I tend to go and support her. Shout out
shout
to
her out.
Solly.
There you go.
Shout out. And then but then like we'll get to it, I'm sure, with Below the Surface. I like purposely like designed an event different to what I usually like go to. Yeah. So
Oh, that's sick.
Speaking of events, like I was telling these guys, a lot of these vibe events is like on Sundays.
oh yeah, some people just like I can't do that.
Bro, I'm looking at these guys. I'm like, bro, no one works on Monday.
Yo,
They work, but they still go
Bro.
to work. You know, they make it
On
happen.
Fridays, hey, it was good. Nah, nothing. Saturday, hey guys, was good.
a little this bubbling here and
On
there.
Sunday, I'm trying to
The
schedule my
haps.
week and everything.
Shaky.
Everyone's saying, you hit me up. Yo,
Thursday even.
hey, Sunday school. Hey, watermelon. Hey, this. I'm like,
Yeah.
bro.
I'm like, fam, I'm trying to just get my mind
trying to
ready for
relax.
the week.
Yeah.
You know, we just had trying to get right with the Lord.
It's true. I swear people be entering their weeks crazy because of Sunday nights. Like
Imagine going to work on Monday with a headache. That's childish.
I mean, isn't work already a headache?
Yeah, that's big facts. You may as well just send it all the way, huh?
Are the events meant to be like you're meant to go hardcore at it, or is it just like we're vibing?
Yeah, if it's
With
rooftop,
music,
whatever, then that's
True.
cool.
Isn't that what the vibe
It's a
is?
good way to wrap
True.
up the week.
That's true. I guess you choose how you behave in those environments,
Yeah,
right?
that's facts.
So basically, it's your friends that don't know how to
Up
get
to you, really.
What I was gonna say there, when do you think you started going to like these type of events? Yeah, because I swear it was only like, I mean, summer 16, universally across the world, everyone says that was the vibe. Yeah.
Oh yeah, laundry. I'm sorry, but no, summer.
Wait, you had laundry?
I had a phase. Everyone had a phase. So
Everyone had a phase with laundry.
Everyone had a phase, but for some reason, 2016 and 17 summer, it was just popping. Like,
was a vibe.
I had the
Too good.
same group.
Beautiful
there.
music.
Beautiful
It was
music.
always out. You know what I'm saying?
Guaranteed people that you.
Weather
you
was
can vibe with.
amazing. We had a real summer. Yeah, that was a real summer.
I'm
in
trying to
16.
figure out how we had that much fun with that Afro beats like that.
No, you know that's what I realized. I actually like going to like an R&B party recently. I realized I actually miss hip hop and R&B
yeah.
Just because
Afrobeats
what we've
have
been hearing a lot, yeah.
pumping for the last few years, you know. So like
That's facts.
anytime I get to like an R&B party, I'm like, hey, because you move differently.
It has a different kind of energy
Exactly,
to it. Yeah,
yeah.
Nah, you're right. 'Cause what I was saying is like, yo, that's the last summer that I remember was like, yeah, that's Liddy. And this is something that you're kind of saying recently, like this summer is the closest I think we've
Closest
kind
we've
of
felt
had
in a long time.
to how 2016 felt.
Yeah.
Really?
In terms of the
Oh,
energy it carries.
Whoa.
Not in terms of the weather
At
necessarily.
least
the weather.
on the
Really?
boys'
Quiet.
end.
Maybe for the guys.
Tell me about your summer then. What happened?
Because
Like,
it's just like for some reason this year, it's weird because now like we're all grown with jobs and all
Apparently.
this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like this year is the first time in multiple years where everyone's like, I'll just hang out till 4 a.m. again.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, whereas I don't know why
True.
past few years it's like it was happening. It wasn't not happening, but it wasn't like weekly.
Yeah,
and then,
true. It's
like
and
back
it was
to
just
back,
like,
bro.
yeah, what do you want to do now? Okay, let's do this and let's do that, and everything's
That's true.
carefree.
Everyone, what's the move? Bet.
Yeah,
true. You know what?
Yeah.
Maybe coronavirus did that to us.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it was like went through a year of
Yeah.
you can't do anything. It's like, hey, let's be childish again.
Let's be
Responsible.
childish.
A new level of appreciation for freedom or like being able to move.
Like be out and about.
Hey,
Yeah.
wait, is it the best summer in terms of what you and your friends do, or in terms of
2016
events
or now?
that's going on?
In terms
that's-
of you and your friends.
Because that's what I was about to say.
Yeah, okay.
Because that's even what I'm trying to say about this year in terms of how close it feels to like 2016.
Yeah.
There's all these type of events. It's all
Right.
kind of happening as well.
True. Melbourne's popping off
Melbourne
right now.
is doing
Right
something
now.
different.
Oh, Melbourne's too nice.
Melbourne's moving
Yes,
different.
yes.
See, I'm speaking from a peripheral, just seeing a lot of this year because I haven't pulled up to not much at all.
Right, okay.
But vicariously, I'm living through these stories like, yo, that looks
Yeah.
like a movie. you know?
Melbourne is it. Like, I went to Sydney. Hey, I'm sorry, Sydney. Guys.
Don't apologize. Say it with chest.
I went to Sydney. I went to Sydney a few months ago, and like the thing is, Sydney's great if you have people there. You know you have haps, but if you can't just find haps, you can't just walk onto the street and like trust that you'll find a good party or a good vibe or some culture.
facts,
Like
that's facts.
They have a
Sydney,
significantly different culture when it comes
Very
to that
different.
stuff.
absolutely
Man,
very work focused. I would
that's
say
true.
Melbourne,
Yeah.
you just put up what's the haps on Snapchat.
Someone replied.
Everyone tells me.
Literally.
Like legit. And like legit. Yeah, cuz come to this. Yeah, no, this is happening.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it's like with the events, I like how there's different types of events that's going on now. You have like Chasula's coming up with this formal
True.
event. Like I don't know if you went.
I did.
The
I went.
lounge,
Yeah. Look,
So
the
that
lounge
was like
event.
the one
Summer
we had.
Jam,
No, that was
bro.
different.
That's what I was meant to
That
go.
camera that
man.
went
It was
around.
like-
That was really cool too,
Yeah?
because that was like a paint and sit, but then we were painting an Air Force shoe.
Okay, you know what? Yeah, we're gonna need to chat
That
after
was
this. Yeah,
very
I'm gonna need you to send through these events every time you
Yeah.
get something sent to
I'm
you.
telling you,
Send it
guys.
straight to
Because
me.
people be hitting me up on my stories like, "What? This looks so cool." I'm like, I swear, I posted this story how many times before the
This is
event?
what it is.
You know
Now.
what
I've
I mean?
realized it's actually my fault.
Yeah, it is.
because I've been so used to how much I've seen people like promoters back in the day as well for like other events, like
Yeah.
club events back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me looking at it, I was like, oh, no way, ew, what? I'm not
Yeah.
going to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's just done something to my head now that whenever I see any flyer for an event, it just
gotta
like
go.
You
passes
resist
by.
like paying attention. to
Yeah, I
it.
don't actually look at what the vibe is telling me, you know, like
True.
actually reading the flyer itself. So you be
100%.
posting these things too.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. Well, keep in mind, in order to have an event and promote it, you need a flyer. You know what I mean? You need a
Nah,
flyer.
it's facts. So it's like now I realize it's my fault. I need to actually just pay attention, and it might be a
Yeah.
vibe, bro.
No,
Yeah,
that's
I'm
true.
gonna
It might
go.
be a vibe. Exactly.
Yeah. Nah, that's lit,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Would you say they're safe right now these days?
The events?
Yeah.
I think so, because I if
'Cause that's a
anything,
stigma that a lot of people kind of attach to
true.
things.
I think I recall more so like fights back in the days, if
Yeah,
anything,
for sure.
at like the clubs. But I feel like what's really good about events these days, a lot of them tend to be ticketed. So it's like you're coming, you've already made your investment, you know what I mean?
You're not trying to mess this up.
Yeah, you're coming, you plan to come. Like, I don't know, I just feel like it's just something about the way these events are set up when they're ticketed and organized. Like, it's just, people come with a different energy. And then, of course, the actual event organizers behind events these days are like intentionally curating really positive, like, you know, spaces.
But it's also because, like, imagine, the ticketed thing is true, because I imagine you didn't do it, like, or you bought a ticket and then for 2 weeks from now and you're like, I'm gonna fight in 2 weeks. So you're thinking about it for 2 weeks.
You're
like, when I see whoever I'm fighting, it's like, who does that? Who can be angry for that long?
Well, then again, you make a point, because it's not even like people plan to fight. So I think my point's redundant, because it's like, even with the ticket.
But low-key, people be planning though. Yeah, a lot of people.
Don't plan to that point, bro. Where you
You have to say, I know what you're about to say.
The copy we were having this morning,
Oh, this one, okay, bet.
Oh, no, okay, go.
No, you say. No, trust. You go.
Then do you feel like some of the music does bring out that energy of let's do something?
100%. I think music is the language of the soul. So I think like everything flows from, you know, within. Yeah. And I think that music carries energy. Like it actually encourages you to act or respond to it in a certain way.
Yeah, there's a response that kind of comes with music.
I can definitely relate to that. Like, because I went to an event and then they played Location and then everyone's just vibing. And then next thing you know, they played Dio.
Everyone's heads are down.
Everyone went from
bro, I don't even like. I lost my glasses.
Mel's doing Velma.
Oh wow!
But that's true, because you're not gonna sway to Pop Smoke.
Exactly. The music literally calls for you to act in that way. Like,
it's smart how this event actually play this kind of music to kind of, in a way, you know.
Then
it's kind of smart.
Are club owners right in going, yo, we're not having that kind of music at our club?
Yeah, it would be. It would be
because
within
that's your
their
investment.
Right. Yeah, exactly, it's your investment.
You break windows every time. Like, you can't come over,
and you get cancelled. And like, I think with the Afrobeats like events popping off, that's also probably been a reason for less fights. Because I think Afrobeats, the tunes, the beats, completely. Yeah.
Surely you're just trying to have a good time with the homies when you hear that kind of music.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Yeah. You know, couple of wine in the corner. But you mentioned that you've tried to do different events entirely.
Well, that was my first event.
But there's more to come, obviously.
100%,
what was I even going to say? So, this is how you know how bad we are as a crew, yeah? Sent it ahead of time, yeah? Let's say what?
Which event
this was the corporate one, yeah?
Corporate?
Wait, what
like
was
networking, vision board.
it was a networking one.
We're idiots.
Now I've alluded, but yeah, we sent it through like, guys, this looks lit, yeah?
Oh, in advance.
True.
This
is why we're wrong.
We do this for every event.
So we sent
What like, this looks
he
nice.
He says something, no says send it. Mine wouldn't say anything, and I'm just like, I'll see what my schedule looks like, and that's where it stops.
So someone have to know.
Guys, it's tonight. It's tonight.
Yeah. Sold out. Shout out to TJ last time. You guys made me shoot her a message. Yo, hey, are there any more tickets? She's like, hey, sorry, they're sold out. I was like, now you guys made me embarrass myself. But that's what pretty much happened for your event as well. And we'll let you, explain exactly what you're doing and with all that, right? But yeah, we sent it through like, guys, this looks like, this is our vibes right now. This is different, The city needs this kind of thing as well. People in our city need this. And then in typical TDP fashion, we checked. The day came, looked at the stories, saw the after photos, the videos, said, come on, man. Bro. All right. But talk about the event and what, I guess, because there's a bit of a background story to it as well in terms of what was like stuff you're doing during the year as well.
True. With Below the Surface.
Exactly. So.
Oh yeah, true.
What was yours?
All right. Woo. So I'm usually the one asking questions. So I'm like, whoo. All right. So Below the Surface is basically a platform, creative platform that like the intention behind it is to explore the world, like the world around us, but using different forms of expression, or addressing the world around us using different forms of expression. So how it initially came about is I actually wanted to start a podcast as well. And I had the name and everything, and then just before launching, I'm like, actually, I don't want to just commit to audio because I do like to express myself in like a number of ways creatively. So I'm like, how can I ensure that I don't limit myself? And that was very triggering because there's another story where I almost, like with law, almost committed to a law degree, left it. I'm just like, I'm not about to jump into something and commit to something if I know I don't want to do it. So I'm like, all right, let's just keep it open. We'll start a platform, call it a channel, even though it's not necessarily a channel. And then whenever I feel like there's a project or something I really want to do, I can just run that like through Below the Surface. Yeah. So it started off like that, and like as soon as I launched, I remember coronavirus was happening, and you know how like back in like April, March, we just thought, 6 more weeks and we're good, we're good.
As long as it
Couple of weeks, we'll be back out.
Legit.
The bird flu.
Literally. So I'm like, all right, let's just do something like small before, I really get stuck into like video content, which would require this sort of setup, So I was like, all right, cool. What do I want to do? I'm like, I just remembered having a lot of conversations with people around that time about how their mental health was. And I'm like, let's explore what people are doing in isolation, what they're grateful for, because of course, gratitude's a really powerful tool for getting through hard times. And let's also ask people to express some words of encouragement. So I'm like, ask 3 questions, the same 3 questions to like 9 different people. And I'm like, all right, they gave me their responses. And I'm like, I was trying to figure out ways to post it. I'm like, I can just put a photo of them and then the caption can be their response or something like that. I'm like, no, let's take it another step further. Let's create a magazine like out of this. So created a mag. And that was amazing. I really enjoyed doing that. I had like the help of Ivy, one of my really close friends. Shout out.
Shout out Ivy.
Shout out to Ivy. She's amazing. And that went so well because people, like, they're just 3 simple questions. But what I realized is like you can kind of unpack or expose the nuance in things if you just ask 3 questions, really simple, and just allow different people to respond to those questions. So the answers that came out of that were really powerful. It was encouraging, like it was validating for people who were going through what they were going through. And that was just that. I thought like that was just going to be the mag and then we move on. But coronavirus decided to hang around for all of 2020.
I'm kind of comfortable here still.
Exactly.
I like what's going on here.
Exactly. So I'm
I
like,
can see this happening for a couple more months.
they actually just extended the state of emergency.
Yeah, I definitely saw that.
Saw that.
I'm
Saw that. They
Seen
tried to do
unseen.
it subtly.
Yeah, seen unseen. We have constitutional rights. Not
Trying to move like that. Oh man.
And then I ended up I did a journal piece because one day, Black Lives Matter, obviously that all happened, and I just wanted to write because I like to write. And I'm like, all right, I'll do a journal piece. I'm just going to put my name on it, say it's a think piece, design it how I want to, and just put it out there under Below the Surface. And I did that. And that was amazing. Like Converse picked that up and put it on their website.
Sick.
Yeah. And then I was like, all right, let's do another mag because once again, coronavirus was still around. It was still around. This time I wanted to really explore what happens when Black people exist and function in white spaces. So this time I chose 12 people, the same 3 questions, but it started off with a statement and then a question. And that was powerful. I think that's the most favorite thing I've done because, it was just something special about asking people who wouldn't usually comment on these things like microaggression and stuff like that. That magazine ended up at Parkfield Juvenile Centre. The staff picked it up.
Whoa.
Yeah, they printed them off and had a conversation with the guys about racism, and that was whoa for me as well. And then the event came along because I just wanted to create a vision board myself this year. I'm I want to be really intentional about what I do. And then I think my heart, my mind, is naturally geared towards community and collaboration because when I thought about doing a vision board, I'm like, all right, cool. Which of my friends do I want to do this with? That's just my natural thought, And I'm like, actually, why not do this with even more people? Why not experiment with collective intention? Let's just run it through Below the Surface, The Below the Surface is that thing that's just allowing me
channel,
to... It's a channel. It just allows me to explore the world around me, respond to it in any way that I want. It allows me to collaborate with people. It's really where social justice and creative expression meet, basically. So, yeah.
How was that? How was running your first event pretty much? Yeah.
Man, I should say one thing very clearly. No successful event, no successful person without a team. That wouldn't have come together if I didn't have the team that I did around me, the people carrying me and helping me through the process. That was hectic. There's just putting on an event, there are certain things you just can't do until the last day or the last few days. And therefore you're just running around and it was stressful, but until the moment it came together, and when it came together, I was just this is beautiful. I really had to just enjoy it. There was no other option because it was all done at that point. Yeah.
Are you doing a second one?
We need a
That's an exclusive.
I definitely want to do. So I think the thing is, I like the whole networking thing plus something else. So
Yeah.
in this case, it was like vision board making, but I can't necessarily just put that on again.
Like, cause we just
Yeah.
destroyed the vision.
And 2021's happening. It's happening. You know, but definitely it'll be maybe like a workshop plus networking, or I'm still thinking about it, not like forcing.
I think that's
anything.
the thing. It's always taking that breather afterwards. It's like there's no point. Oh, that was good. People like that. I bet. Let me get on to the next
That's
one.
what I'm
Drag it as well
saying.
and just full, run with it when it's like people actually want this maybe over time.
Exactly.
It's nice
It's
to
like when you do a
read that
killer event
space.
and everyone's like, yo, so when's our next one coming?
Yeah.
And then now
Like
puts you
us.
kind of under pressure in a way it's like you got to come up with something again, you know? what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
When you're saying like you interviewed black people in white spaces, right? Is that like a black software engineer working at a Telstra or something, or is that kind of thing? Or?
So basically what I did is I just picked so it was 12 African Australians basically, and I didn't necessarily pay attention to where they work or where they do school or anything. It's already an assumption almost that you exist in a predominantly white space when you're in Australia, in a lot of cases, I guess. And so it was just me. I guess we can use the phone, I'll get the question. I'll show you. Yeah.
Just the same 3 questions, not the same 3 questions that you asked during the beginning of like the first edition, or the exact same ones. This is different.
Yeah,
but people got asked the same 3.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So the first magazine was called Quarantine Edition, and asked those, what are you doing in isolation? What are you grateful for in light of coronavirus? And what are some words of encouragement? Then the next magazine was.
Did you have answers for that as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then so this was the second one, black meets white, and so the first one was like, whiteness is often falsely tied to being articulate, well educated, and diplomatic. What are your thoughts and experiences with this?
You wanted answers.
I wanted your thoughts. I wanted your experiences.
Discuss.
10 marks.
Oh my god.
She said, I want to think about it.
This is at the end of the whole exam, man.
I said, here's some homework.
Bro, this is that one where you checked all of the multiple choices. Like, bro, Hail Mary for this last question.
I can write.
Yo, that's what you're hitting
All of
them
them
with.
came out. Hey, did you guys finish question 3?
So I mean, with all of these questions, what conclusions were you
She
able
didn't
to
even let us
draw
finish
from
laughing, bro.
Yeah.
Fire.
Sorry, guys.
No, girls don't know how to laugh.
Let me finish laughing, bro.
I was like,
Anyways.
And then you guys laughed for a bit too long. That's why I was ready to.
Oh, man. Nah, it's all right.
So yeah, what conclusions were you able to draw from these questions?
Yeah, so just before I answer that, I'll read out the next 2. And so the next one was existing comfortably and advancing in white environments can sometimes depend on your ability to assimilate in that environment. So what are your thoughts and experiences with that?
Discuss.
And then the last one was black people are challenged every day by microaggressions. What are your thoughts and experiences? So this was very the thoughts obviously is now concept ideas relating to this is what I was looking for, but then the experiences is that anecdotal side of things whereby I'm expecting to see different things from all of you because we all have different lived experiences.
Yeah.
What I realize is microaggressions are so prominent. I think more than the really forward racism. We're really experiencing that subtle racism here in Australia, and that's something that was a recurring sort of theme that I picked up from the responses. Another one would probably be the code switching. People would talk about how often they have to code switch depending on the environments that we're in.
You're
gonna have to break down these words.
Oh yeah, so you know how it might even just be the slang or the language you use just to fit into that white space,
That's enjoyable.
That's a good switch.
Code switching.
Hey, Loki, you need to have good ability to do that.
You
You
think?
do.
Okay.
Let's talk about that.
Okay, yeah.
Should you have to?
Shoot, exactly.
All right. Now we cook. We can't just breeze past what we just said.
Dulling your personality.
No.
Okay, yeah, let's talk
maybe
about
not
it.
in this context in which you're saying it, but in context in terms of when I'm chilling with my friends from the hood.
You already started.
I'm using certain slangs and everything. Yeah. And then the moment that I'm with a different group, it's like, okay, cool. I gotta change up the way I talk to these guys. I can't use those slangs with these guys here, right? We have slangs, right? We talk a certain way, but I know I can't talk that way
outside of the space.
This certain group.
Okay.
Even the jokes and everything, I can't crack the same jokes here with these guys.
You know what's hard about that?
So that's being able to adapt, though.
Sort of, because there is an element of it where it's like, is it necessary? But then there's the other side of it. It's like, what's your EQ? Because to me, it shows high EQ.
Yeah.
If you're able to walk into a room full of these people,
And you know how
or
to-
a room full of older people, or
Yeah.
a
You know
room
how to
full of
communicate with-
white people or black people, whatever, and you can get
You know
along with
how to get
everyone.
along with
True.
it because you're able
It's
to
like-
switch up in a
True.
way.
I see it as smart,
Yeah.
but I also see it as like, it's kind of sad in a way that people have to dull their personalities. It's sad when it's the way that you get accepted.
Yeah, and I think it's only sad or it's a shame in certain contexts because it's like when you're going from one group of friends to kick it and then to another to kick it, it's just enjoyment. You're enjoying yourself. But when you're existing in a workspace
get
where
a
you have to
job,
perform
yeah.
and you have to like prove yourself, because you know what you're saying is true. Like you should be able to code switch. You should be able to change the way you address people a little bit or whatever. But I think when you're having to... when you have an accent, because this is one of the things, it's like your English, your level of English could be so, you could be so competent, you could be really good, but because you have an accent, it appears as if you're not as competent. And that's the issue, because in corporate spaces or in certain white spaces, you will be perceived as almost dumb or less smart because of that. And that's another recurring thing that came up. And yeah.
I have a
Split personality almost.
What is it?
It's almost
What,
split
being able to-
personality.
Being
or
able
something,
to-
But it can't.
That wasn't
okay,
Daniel.
there's levels, because it can create that for people, like actually losing who you feel you are,
Yeah.
or losing yourself in some settings because of how like how do you say it? How used to it that you are?
Yeah.
Is that
Used to it, yeah.
How used to it that you are? That sounds so weird.
It just
But
sounds
how
odd.
often you have to
Maybe
like
you should
change?
spend
You
more
know?
time with white people.
What I was gonna say, like I have a friend, right, that he's not black, but he's from a different background, and his accent was what kind of stopped him from some certain opportunities, right? Like you said, English is perfectly fine, right? But the accent in terms of the people that were like either assessing this certain thing he was doing,
Yeah.
or the assessors, I'll call them, like that was the main thing. Oh, we don't get your communication. And I was like, I fully get exactly what this guy is saying, But then I was like looking at it from the side of, is it because that I've had to be someone who's able to mesh with different types of people that is giving me this ability to like actually understand it? Because I'm like, at the end of the day, it kind of really just comes down to, do you have the time or the patience to give this person the platform to say what they're trying to say? Because I feel like people, like you said, if they already have that perception or like that preconceived like notion in their mind, they shut someone down straight away.
Definitely.
And it's like, no,
It's
I'm right,
sad.
you're wrong, I'm not even ready to
It's
hear you
actually
out.
sad.
kind
And
of
that's
thing.
why it's about changing the perception before they even encounter that person. So it's like, we need to do work in the background to like change that perception. If someone has an accent, still tune in because they're speaking like all
bear
of
with
that.
it,
Like it's just But a lot of other things came up. It was more like, how we're tokenized in these white spaces, and as a result maybe we're getting a lot more attention for our hair, we're getting asked unnecessary questions,
thought you were gonna rub your head.
we're being made uncomfortable, like things like that. I think some black people just can't be bothered with that. Like we are subjected to a certain experience when we step out of the house because of who we are and because of who we are in this place, and it's not necessarily a thing we can't manage or a thing we don't understand the context or the reasons for, but it's just a thing we need to explore and talk about because it's our experience,
It's tough as well. Like for people that like, if you don't like, let's say you're a white person, right, or whatever race really, and you don't spend time with, for this example, black woman, right, specifically.
Okay.
And so you're not used to the different hairstyles, whatever, but you're genuinely like curious and like that is cool or that is whatever, right? Or how do you do that?
How do you distinguish that space? Huh?
It's like, because for example, right now, so I grew up in the Middle East. A lot of my friends were Scottish, right?
Right.
And so for like formal events, whatever, they would, so international school, all this kind of thing.
Yes.
My head, I was like, what?
So a lot of British, Scottish, whatever.
Yeah.
And so for formal events, a lot of them would wear their kilt, right? And it's like every time, out of genuine curiosity and like interest, I'd be like, oh, that's cool. Or you end up talking about it, right? So it's like, where do you go? That's tokenizing someone,
Yeah.
as opposed to is just taking an
You know,
interest in your thing.
you're right, and that's because it's sometimes very sincere for someone to show interest or fascination about
That
that one, I didn't like that one. To show interest in what they see, because at the end of the day, we come from different backgrounds and we have different parts of us that the other might not have seen or experienced. I just think that, in my experience, I have a lot of patience actually for people who show interest and ask questions about who I am. It's as long as it's sincere though. And I think you can just feel it. Like you can feel when someone's just like looking at you as some
it's true.
people. I think black people are done being looked at as some exotic experience or some exotic person, because it's just like, do you know what I mean though?
Because they're not.
It's not. We're amazing.
Say you're not exotic.
We're different.
We're different. Say my people are not exotic.
You want to earn it
Like you should know by now. Like braids, come on. You don't know what these are. You don't know. Yeah.
It's like right at this point, surely like, you know what I mean? It's not that crazy for you to still be
people still don't know. So where does this mentality come from in terms of you being interested in this area?
Yeah, no, because even
That's
while
a
you've
good
been
question.
talking, I'm like, yo, the way you're even just describing
You
just
use
someone,
keywords.
this is what an examiner's looking for.
Very,
the way you're even just describing how people are articulating, it's like I'm looking for narrative, the nuances, all of them ones. I'm like, you really be looking into this like writing thing, like this whole
When
creative.
did it start? How did it start? Yeah. What made you kind of say, this is something I want to explore?
I think I've always been someone who's I'm a natural advocate, and I'm someone who my dad. Let's take it all the way back. My
How
dad.
about you give the credit to it?
Let's give it all. My dad's a diplomat. He's so into politics, law, social justice, and I watched the way my parents.
Is that what he does for a living, sir?
And I watched the way my parents served the community in a way, in different ways growing up, and I just always admired that. And then that in combination with my love for people and communicating, because I actually, like I was saying, I went on to study law after high school, because I actually believed that was the way to exercise my love for social justice. Before I realized there are so many other ways. Exactly. So it's always been in me. It's just, it was a matter of time before I found out the way through which I wanted to exercise that. And it's actually, when I left law, I still wanted to study. So I transferred into a social science degree. So I'm just about to finish that. It's like a behavioral studies, social science. I've been a student for way too long, way too long. And yeah, I also had a big back injury in 2018. Yeah, serious spinal injury. So that kind of first it forced me to slow down, and then it guided my path. And it was through that time that I ended up having the courage to leave law and finding this degree, and then finding this media space, and realizing that I can be a thought leader in media and just draw from what I've learned from my degree and exercise that in this space, you know?
If you don't mind me asking, how did you get the back injury?
Yeah, no, I don't mind. So I was actually, it was 2018. For context, in 2017, I took a gap year off uni. Because that's when I was like, all right, 2.5 years into this. 2.5 years.
I don't know.
6 years, man. Arts and law, 6 years. It was 2.5 years in. And I'm like, I was really starting to clock. If I commit to this, I don't think I'm going to be happy. I think I'm going to be miserable. Because I just, it's the lifestyle as well that you're setting yourself up to live. You have to, I looked at the industry, the people, law, how methodical it is, how it doesn't allow you to exercise your creative mind. I'm like, no way. Am I locking myself into this deal?
Also, that amount of time dedicated to something, you almost can't switch. In your brain, after you're like, screw it, this is what it is.
Exactly. And I could feel I was at that point where, okay, I can make a decision to step out now, but if I keep going further, you're going to have to go all the way, girl. You're going to have to go all the way.
That's madness.
Literally. So I was just like, all right, I'm not going to tell my parents I'm taking this gap year to really leave law. I'm just leaving for a little bit. I need a break, mom and dad. It's a 6-year degree. I deserve a break, But deep down, I was like, okay, I'll use this year to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I go traveling to Europe with high school friends for 7-8 weeks, come back, get a full-time job for the first time in September of 2017, worked at Telstra Business all the way up until February 2018. I planned a trip to Thailand. So I was getting ready to go to this trip. This is a week leading up to it. So what happened is I was working in the office full-time, and it started off with a pain in my leg, literally just a weird pain in my leg that I didn't understand. And I'm like, this is weird. It's not like a muscle pain. It's just
Tingling
different.
kind of thing?
Yeah,
Oh.
tingling. And I'm like, okay. Mind you, I'm like 20, 21 at the time, so I don't have much understanding of, like, I didn't do well in P or sorry, the health, all of those ones. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, I should probably be wise.
Just wriggle my toes, surely. You know, I'll be right. Just wriggle my toes.
Yeah,
Knock it off.
As long as it's not the left arm, that's not a stroke.
I was just like, I'll do the right thing and I'll check it out.
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, you're smart. Yeah,
I
we
was like,
bad.
I'll do the right thing, you know. So I went to the hospital. It just made sense for me to go to the hospital because I was in the city. I was like, go to the hospital, check it out, see what's up. I go there and then wait in the ED. They see me. They ask me a few questions. They're just examining me. Emergency department. The terms, the keywords.
I'm telling you, she came with keywords now.
I'm not trying to I thought it was erectile dysfunction. I was like, what does this have to do with anything?
I went to the ED.
That's the only thing I've ever heard it for. But yeah, emergency department.
Yeah, ED. So, and then they assessed me. They asked me a few questions, and you know, me trying to understand what I was going through. I'm also talking back to the doctor, being like I did 2 dance classes like 2 weeks ago because I stopped exercising for a while, and then I decided to get fit again.
Wow, so this is what happens when you just try to work out.
I decided to get fit again, so I go to 2 dance classes. It happens 2 weeks later. I don't think it was that related in the end, but they're like, yeah, you know what? I think this is DOMS, which is delayed onset muscle soreness. You're fine. But they did ask, like, do you have back pain? And I'm like, no, I've never had back pain in my life. Like, so no. And so, yeah, anyways, I go, they're like, you're fine, cool. 2 days pass, it's Thursday, my trip's on Saturday. I'm like, oh, something's not right. You know, your intuition. You're deep down.
Was it like, hurting at that point?
It's that, once again, it's that sensation, but it was just that lack of understanding for why this sensation was, you know, in the end it was sciatica, so it's nerve pain, which is really bad. Yeah, so I'm like,
oh no, you explain this.
So then what happened was, I'm like, all right, Thursday, 2 days to go. You know what? Let's go back one more time. Yeah. One more time, just to be safe.
To get the all clear, so I can go my trip.
All clear, exactly. So I'm like, maybe it'll have more power if I go back to the same place that I went to, because you know I can say I was here 2 days ago and back again. So I do that, go and see them. This time I'm actually asking, like, are there any tests that you guys can do, sort of thing. And then they examine me again. They're like, you're fine, like. You're literally fine. I'm like, great. That's what I want to hear. You know what I mean? I'm off. So I go to Thailand.
You went on the plane.
Yeah,
okay, because that's like.
What do you mean?
Because I was gonna say, can that mess you up?
Yeah.
Like the altitude.
Absolutely,
and
it
all
messed me up.
That messes you up.
The story gets worse.
Oh,
Because you know, go and play.
It's bad. So, and mind you, if it's a back thing, you shouldn't be sitting for 8 hours. Exactly. So, and mind you, it was me and my other girl, like, and I was being that girl. I was like, I'll do the lifting, I'll put the luggage up. I got you, sis. You know,
strong.
Yeah, and I got this.
Girl, you drove to the airport. Let me help you.
Mind you, my back. Anyway, so I do that. I'm getting worse every day, and I'm even like researching every single day. But there's also that pressure of like, you know, keeping up. Yeah. You've only got one friend here. You don't want to ruin the trip. You've planned this for so long. I literally came to the conclusion that I either pinched a nerve, did my hip, or did my back, because the symptoms were suggesting that, you know. And I'm like, whoa, I'm in Thailand. Like, I just want to get home. Like, I'm not trying to really be like looked after here, you know. But I went quad biking in the jungle. Before I really came to that conclusion, I was killing myself. I was really killing myself.
Tricks and everything.
This is enjoyment.
Yeah, literally. And then by the end of the day, you'd see me like lying on my back, like not understanding what's happening.
Straight Patrick style.
Friends are literally, what are you doing? Sunbathing?
Was it getting worse?
It was getting worse. And then what happened was a week into my trip on Saturday, I was rushed to hospital. This time I was literally just getting ready for bed. I was brushing my teeth, and then I started to feel like it felt like there was a ton of bricks on my back, and I'm like, all right, chill, let's chill.
Casper, chill.
I was like, chill. All right, let's just sit down. I'm sure if you sit down, it'll be okay, you know.
Better.
So I sit down, and then I'm like, whew, these bricks, they're still feeling heavy. So I'm I'm like, okay, let's lie down, because hopefully when I lie down, all the weight's off my body. I shouldn't feel anything. So I lied down, and it wasn't better. This is when I knew something has given at this point, and so now I start crying because I'm just like, I was so strong for 1 week. And then I'm being rushed to hospital. They literally put me on a bed in the waiting room at Patong Beach Hospital, which is the local hospital. Morphined me up right there and then, because I was bad. Really,
green whistle as well?
What's that?
Did they give you the little green whistle that finishes you? No.
Oh, no. They just literally put it in.
They just
injected it, and they left me high there in front of people.
They said, we'll be back.
No, but literally, Carlos said yes. And then I just remember, because I was completely sedated, and I remember my friend Linda, I think she was a bit frustrated because we weren't getting much help. She's like, is anyone going to help? Like, and I just remember being like, because I'm like, I can assert myself in the right moments. I was trying to, I'm like, Linda, just Linda, I wasn't saying anything. But I was transferred to an international hospital the next day, and then I was hospitalized for 10 days because it was bad, because I did my back so bad because all the other discs were trying to compensate for what was happening. And then by the time...
It's compression, huh?
Yeah, by the time... And the nerve... Well, the leg pain was because in my L5 S1 disc, the lowest disc, it was pushing on the nerves. And we have like...
And that's the one that runs all the way down.
Exactly.
Yeah. We get it good science, yeah?
Bro, I'm enjoying...
Daniel...
Now, I want to ask questions like what kind of nerve it was.
Really test it. No, but and then... So when I did a lot more research... Later, I understood that I didn't actually have to have the back pain for you to you didn't need to rule that out. It was much a possibility that I had a back issue when I was presenting those symptoms to you. But anyways, we had to get over that part of them not picking it up, because I came home and I was home ridden for like 3 months.
My goodness.
Yeah, it was really bad. I really went through it, and but it was also a blessing in disguise, I guess, because it really forced me to slow down. Like, I was in that period of my life, once again, gap year, traveling, like everywhere, energy for life, could be doing anything, would do everything.
And you had lockdown before we had lockdown.
Literally. No, literally.
Wow.
No, literally, yeah.
I have two questions. First one, if you don't want to answer, you don't have to. Like, do you still have like do you feel that sometimes, or are you like fully good now?
Oh no, I'm still dealing with it. I'm still treating it. Yeah.
And the second one, how was being like down for 3 months when you're here on your mental health as well?
Yeah, I guess you said like I already had my own lockdown. You know what I mean? So I think it was really hard for me because. Like previous to that happening, I still am that person that really expresses myself through movement, my energy, the way I connect with people, dancing was a big one. And so when that was taken away from me, I feel like I didn't even know. I was like, oh, the thing that I use to express myself has been taken away. Who am I? Like, who am I? You know? And so it was really hard because there's also like, I'm a young woman, haven't even had my kids. You're thinking about all these things. Like, I'm dealing with an injury that old people, you know, deal with. So I was fighting miserability, but at the same time, like that diamond process, I feel like I went through that because the mental strength that me even having to rely on God, like turn back to my faith, just, you know, kind of interrogate what I really wanted to do. It really put me on my path, I guess, sooner in a way. It was a blessing, but it's also, it's a tough thing, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you guys feel like, because this is, it's kind of like a commonality, I feel like, in this human experience here. Like, whenever someone wants to mention, you know, this was a pivotal moment where I kind of got clarity in this, or I became more aware of where I wanted to head in this, it's always surrounded around a time of like pain, struggle, and like
absolutely
being down. You know what I mean? Like pressure. So you know what I mean? It's like, and you felt real physically and like everything.
Because there's a mental, because there's a psychological component too. Because it's like, all right, you can't see that I'm dealing with nerve pain, which is like, it comes in many forms. It can be a tickle in your leg. It can be a deep tissue pain. It can be a pinch. But it's like, I'm not bleeding, so you're not gonna show me any sympathy. You're not even gonna know if I'm going through it. So I actually have to just push myself, you know, as I'm here. Like, I'm not currently going through that, but you know, that would be the case. And I guess because of that, I had to really develop my mental strength, and I've taken that with me, and it's definitely transferable, you know, in so many other parts of your life. So it is a blessing. But I agree with you. I think that it's those moments that force you to really figure out who you are, because it's like you don't know until you're kind of, you know, pushed into a corner. And for me, it was like, I'm already sunk. So it's just like I can either stay sunk or I can just, you know, do the little things that I can to just keep, you know, like fighting this in the ways that I can. Yeah.
Because it's like, that's when you've been tested, like, for real. It's like, how much do you really want this?
Yeah?
Crushing moments. You love saying it. Crushing moment. That's your crushing moment.
Crushing moments.
Come on.
Yeah, give us the dance. Why not?
It's like, you know, when you've been crushed, it's like now it's like, you know, you're forced to think, you're forced to, you know, to do things. And that's when you've been tested. It's like, how much do you really want this?
Well, what I was going to ask you all is like, do you think people can gain that clarity without going through this type of a moment though? Like, do people... Because I remember I had this conversation with one of my friends,
question.
like this back in the day. So we're having some interesting convos in year 8. It's like year 8, year 9.
Nice.
Where one of my friends were beefing back and forth about this topic. I was like, he's talking about like, people need to go through stuff to be able to have impact in this world. And like, you know, if you don't go through anything, then you're really not doing it. You know, you're not going to do anything impactful or effective. And I was like, bro, surely people can have that easy. Like, surely there's those people that actually sometimes it's easy
path,
and they like, can you still gain that within that space of like ease?
It's subjective though, because it's like what's easy, what's hard is different.
100%. Yeah, that's true.
Right? And
That's
so
true.
it's like, let's say you've had a life that I would consider easy. Like, let's say you grew up in Brighton or one of those areas, right? And so money's always there and everything's always there and whatever. But then there's like, you go through a whatever moment that's like, oh, the time I crashed my car, I had to work out how to do it. That might be a really tough moment for you, right? To me, I'd be like, I mean, that's not the worst thing that can happen. But then for them, it's like that might be the moment that triggers something for them.
Right. I agree with that. And I think like sometimes that pivotal moment that you're talking about, maybe it's that not everyone has to have it, because some people have an insane level of discipline even to just really hone in on like their purpose and figure it out. But I think in terms of impact, I think that it does serve a purpose to have like gone through something, because you're now able to relate to a number of people and their lived experience and then speak to them, and you know what I mean? So I think like, for those who were once upon a time, you know, addicts and were able to overcome that, it makes sense that they're the ones that are probably in a better position to really meet the addict at their level, and, you know, rather than the person who's never seen it, never touched it.
Trying to step into that world.
Yeah, exactly. So I think,
I agree, because it's like you can have two people, one who has gone through hardship and then someone who hasn't gone through hardship, do the same like job, do the same task, but it's like where the heart lies, you know, behind it as well. It's like their intention. It's like, the relatability. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's like if I come to someone who has been an addict, it's like, okay, they can actually talk me through practical things because they've been through it. Whereas someone who just read it from like a textbook, you know?
Right.
And it's like you can actually feel the difference from both.
Exactly.
Which is, it is pretty interesting. But that's also something that I've always thought about. It's like, does everyone have to go through a low point in order for them to, you know, come and have their come up afterwards? But necessarily not really.
Right.
Not really. Not for everything, I don't believe. Yeah.
And it just depends on what your purpose is, and maybe depending on what that thing is, you needed to have that experience to enhance your ability to do that thing or your purpose. So like, I don't know. I definitely have moments where I'm just like, but no, I don't want this though. Yeah. Like, God, take it. I don't want it. Like, I've had many moments actually of where I'm like, this isn't fair actually. But I guess there's just, above all, I'm just grateful because I am blessed. I am walking. I am happy. I am healthy. Yeah.
I do like those moments though.
You like it? You like it once you've come out of the moment?
I like it because now it's like I'm really forced to find another way. And you know what I mean? Like and that's, to be honest, that's why, you know, I'm where I'm at right now. Is because I've been forced to be like, okay, cool. This is not there anymore. What are you gonna do now?
I did hear Andy Mineo say once on the Work in Progress podcast about like sometimes confinement actually he didn't say sometimes, he said confinement breeds creativity because it's like you're put in a certain kind of box and it's like you have to figure out your way out, bro. It's eat or be eaten right now, so figure out.
Exactly. And we don't have, like you saw, like life's pace is so fast. Like when coronavirus happened, I think we were able to have that perspective really, because we're like, whoa, we're running around in this rat race, man. We are busy people, you know. And so, like, if I think a lot of people would agree that time, because we have that food, shelter, healthcare, that time to be at home, which is to do things differently, really served a really strong purpose for so many people. How many different initiatives happened last year? You know, people felt encouraged and inspired to do things. Exactly. And I think it's because we don't spend enough time with ourselves. I can't even say confidently that I spent enough time with myself previous to the injury. I was running around everywhere, you know, like, and so I think it's the reflection part. It's the introspection that actually creates the magic for a lot of people. Is listening to your thoughts, your hearts, and like your heart, and taking, tuning in, sort of thing. Yeah.
And I was
gonna say, so what's like your long-term goal with people? How you like? What do you plan to do with that? You trying to reunite people, but how do you plan to do that? Basically, what's your goal with that?
With people specifically, I guess. Well, relating to my back injury, one thing I'm really passionate about is actually educating people about the importance to preserve your back health, because just like we don't learn about like financial literacy, you know, and things in high school that are really important to learn. One thing is, it's very important to preserve your back health.
Yes.
I did like gymnastics for 7 years, athletics. I was a very sporty kid. I love sport, and this happened to me, you know, like that showed me I'm not invincible. And it was actually like little habits, like your posture, the quality of your mattress, the quality of your pillow, everything.
Bring the pillow over here.
The quality of your pillow, because like your spine literally starts below your skull, you know, so it's like, and your discs have like, they degenerate. Like the reason why it's normal for old people to experience back pain and stuff is because over time we have discs, and it's like bone disc, and the disc has like a gel stuff in it, so it's like that acts as like a shock absorber, lets you turn, twist, and over time they actually degenerate. You lose that structure. The bone and bone. So if you're encouraging that with like bad posture, you're you know, rather than like staying like this or stretching is the most powerful thing for your back health. And it's just like, I'm mind blown that we don't know. You know what I mean? And like, I want people to know, because it's like, we have to do it now to look after ourselves. We don't have to have a bad back at 50 necessarily if we do things. But that's just that with related to my experience. People wise, in general, I figured out I wanted to do all of this because I really simplified like things. I'm like, what do I love? I just love people, and I love talking, and I love social justice. And so it's just, I love to collaborate. I love community. I'm currently working for the Brisbane City Council on like a gambling harm prevention campaign. So that's really cool. Like, I've still always, as much as I'm trying to build my career as like a host, presenter and stuff like this, I've still always been in the community. Like,
okay, I don't know how much you can talk about this because it is your work, I guess, than the gambling stuff. But then I'm always so conflicted with like Australia has a massive issue, right? More than most countries, I think. Right. But it's like, it's a weird thing that it destroys so many families, destroys so many lives, all this kind of thing. But then it's advertised on TV so much.
Exactly.
Right, with just a stupid little disclaimer at the end, like, hey, by the way, if you need help, get help.
Do you know why? Right? Because it's private. So like pokies machines are private.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then what about cigarettes? Why is that you can't advertise any cigarettes? You can't put imagery on the boxes. You like, is it not the same line of both addictive in nature?
They're definitely both addictive. They're addictive differently.
Of course, one affects your health.
Yes, and exactly. One affects your health, and the other one breaks down like things in the background. And so exactly. And I think I actually don't have an answer for that. If I'm being honest, I don't know. But like I know that gambling is seriously an issue, and it's being perpetuated by private-owned like businesses, and that's why there's a lot of government funding to address it. But pokies, it's just really, it's deadly. It's like, it's just very manipulative. It's not, you don't control your wins even. And then the music is hypnotic. It's like, there's so much to it.
The music in the background, one more time.
And it's like,
no windows, no clocks.
like you're at the fair or something.
Yo.
No windows, no clocks, so you can't tell time.
Wow.
That's so facts.
Damn.
That really does draw you in. That's the type of music that they play, isn't it? Because you think about a carnival, when you're looking at, bro, it does draw you in.
And these are all like intentional tactics tactic. So we had to, the first part of this project, because it's a 12-month project and it's a huge community project, and we had to first learn about the issue, and then obviously go focus groups, so go into the community and start talking to people about what it looks like in their community. And so we're focusing on like the Vietnamese communities, the South Sudanese and the broader African community, the South Pacifica community. And so in Brimbank specifically, and that's because that's where there's a high demographic of those people. There are 13 venues where pokies is played, and 11
just within that.
Council, and then 11 of them are like placed in like low socioeconomic.
Keeps you in the cycle.
Keeps you in the cycle. And then there's other things. It's like you walk in there, it's a very friendly place, inviting. They look after you, the security. So if you have issues at home or your mental health,
it's an escape even sometimes.
It's an escape. They look after you, give you free coffee, tea. They set you up. Now all you got to do is lose your money. You know?
Like, isn't it crazy people like literally throw away their whole life just doing this?
No.
Like, it's actually
anticipation, because we've had people
so close.
Exactly, and you actually addicted in this case to the anticipation of winning. It's not the win.
It's not even the win.
It's not the win, and that's what really kills people. And we're speaking to real life people who were addicted for 10 years, people who had divorces as a result of their gambling addiction. A guy just who got out of prison recently because he got involved in criminal activity as a result of it. So it's breaking down families, it's breaking down the community, and it's a very taboo topic. Like, we don't know who's, I
was going to say, do you guys feel we have a real problem with conversation, I think, nowadays? I don't know if I'm saying necessarily Australia or even, I don't know if it's the world in general, but we have a real proper problem with conversation with like real people. And you mentioned something about before, about trying to be like a thought leader. And I was like, that's actually really that's an interesting kind of phrase,
right?
Because I feel like a lot of people are actually like, instead of being thought leaders that generate new kind of thoughts or different ways to look at things, people kind of follow the same kind of concept.
Right.
And it's like the people that are actually going to spark these different thoughts or different experiences as well are the people that just actually don't get their voices to be heard. You know what I'm saying? Like the people that don't get looked at, the people that you have someone that's representing this whole population or community demographic, but they don't speak for all the 5,000 different types of people within that kind of space. You know what I'm saying?
That's what Below the Surface is also about, the magazine. It's like number of people, and let's talk about the same thing in 12 times. Because there's definitely worth in that, and it's like, I think we really need to kind of like look into that, like moving forward, because that's what I get confused, and I'm like, yo, does the world want to be good sometimes? Like, do we want to succeed? Do we want to? Because I feel like people kind of, because there's solutions to things, they're out there. We all know the solutions to certain different things and issues and problems, but I just feel like we don't want that.
It'll throw everything off balance. You can't. We can't have a world that's just good.
The reality is, once you mess up people's money at the top, you're not allowed to do that. Like as soon as your suggestion is gonna mess up someone's money.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't do
that. Buddy, slow down. Hey, don't do that.
The question is, who's the bad guy in this whole thing, right? Because they're doing things that they know is gonna break down families, break you, and so on, right? It's like, oh, you're the bad guy, but at the same time, it's like
survival of the fittest.
The door's open for you.
Yeah, it's an option.
Yeah. It's one of those things, free will, It's like we're exposed to so many environments that we could technically step into and do things that could lead us to places, but we choose not to. And it's just like, it's unfair because you're dealing with like vulnerable people in certain instances. But once again, they still have free will. So it's kind of just like, we could be more mindful as a society about the things that we expose, vulnerable people to. And that's also part of the issue,
It's tough because honestly, it happens, where this person's selling drugs and then they sell to, let's say they sell to my brother, and then my brother goes to him, and then I go to him and say, hey, bro, why you selling drugs for? It's like, big man, that person came to me. So it's like, it's a guy that's selling the drugs. Can I say he's the bad guy in this situation? I'm only mad at him because of the damage that he's able to do around the people that I love, right?
Exactly.
It's weird also the thinking behind the people that are doing the bad stuff when it comes to that. I remember hearing Malice from the Clips, so Pusha T's brother, was talking about like when he was selling drugs and he got his brother into it and through their cousin and whatnot, and he was like, I would sell to literally anyone or anyone's mom or anyone. He's like, because if I don't sell to them, someone else will. I want the money.
There you go.
And it's like, it's kind of true. They're gonna buy it anyway.
And also
they're gonna interact with something anyway. So it's like,
Yeah, and I think in those cases, the thug life chose them. You know what I mean? Like, that's a real thing. Like, the thug life chooses you or you choose it.
Look, yeah, because I just watched Blue Story, right? I just watched Blue Story like 2 days ago. It's the one that came out of UK about like it's like a movie version of Top Boy kind of thing.
Yeah, Top Boy, yeah.
Same main guy from the new one.
Yeah,
Okay.
Michael Ward. Yeah. So I think he was in Blue Story before Top Boy, yeah, wasn't he?
Other way around.
Was it other way around? You sure?
Came out a little bit after. Blue Story.
Oh, sorry, yeah. No. Top Boy, the sequel, bruv. The second one. He wasn't in the first Top Boy.
You're wrong.
No, he wasn't. He was in the second.
Summer House came out before Blue Story.
Yes,
I can't.
Yeah. He wasn't in Summer House, bro.
Yeah.
Michael Ward was in the second Top Boy, the one that Drake produced.
Haven't even
He was in the
watched Top
second
Boy,
one,
you
bro.
mean?
Summer House is the first.
Summer House.
Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
anyways, Michael Ward's young, bro. He's in the second Top Boy.
because
Yeah.
that's what I mean. And then that came out before Blue Story.
Oh, look at this. Anyway, so
You're so
what do you do
wrong.
after this?
I digress. I digress.
Daniel's been on UK culture for 6 months. And he thinks
Six
that's
months.
Hey, UK culture.
Watch.
Hey, the guys are
What are you
up
gonna do
all
when
the
I'm right?
time,
What are you
they're
gonna
my
do? Just
friends.
tell me right now.
All right. 22nd of November 2019, Blue Story came out. We watched Top Boy in 2017, 18.
Check the second one, the one by Drake,
We
bro.
know the first one was in 2007, 2011. What are you talking about? Obviously, it came out after that.
so I'm
Video
saying
mics?
check the second.
Lydia, what are you doing after this?
Worthy at the moment.
The Drake one, bro.
You weren't even able to prove it with Google.
Not that one,
Did
bro.
Google confirm?
Yeah, true.
Wait, that's the
Not
Drake one?
All for an actor, bro.
Hey, it doesn't matter. Anyways,
There we go.
Now commit. Send
wanna
it
prove
all the
it.
way.
I know.
Where's the thing go?
2019, isn't it? Quick episodes. I'll tell you the date that it came out, bro. Yeah, long day.
So who's right?
Who was right?
Nah, bro, but why's the quality better? When did we watch the Drake one, bro? It was recent.
Which I tell you, bro, do I listen,
Yeah,
bro?
it didn't come up
so
properly. Yeah. That wasn't the right one, innit? That's the old thing.
about?
Long day. Look, yeah.
It's been a long.
Anyways,
Oh yeah.
if I still remember my point.
You don't know anything.
Bro, so I was
you're
watching.
talking about what you
so I was watching
watched.
Blue Story, yeah, and that's pretty much about this whole thing of like you see two guys start off like. Obviously, there's turf, all this kind of things. There's all this turf. I don't want to spoil it. You know, it's been out for time. But there's all different
I
like.
haven't seen it yet,
There's
bro.
different like turf kind of things get into play, and someone's from this end, someone from this end, but
Right.
they're friends. Yeah, they're
Right.
good. They're good boys. But it's like you can see how just because of where they are from, that has now impacted their friendship. And you just see like a snowball effect. Next thing you know, they're like these guys are good. They're good kids. Next thing you know, they're the guys on the block.
Yeah.
Like they're the guys now. It's not even necessarily selling drugs and things like that, but they're involved in these violent activities and stuff like
Exactly.
that. I was just watching the natural progression of it, like how it just like as I was watching it, I was like, I could react exactly that same way to this small thing.
Yes.
And that now my reaction to this same thing that happens now and this happens and now I'm at that
Exactly.
same point.
100%. Like you
yeah.
can end up in these places because of circumstance, I think. And sometimes there's always a more wiser option in a lot of instances, or a better option, but sometimes we don't have the strength or the resources to really follow through with that option, you know? So some people, like a big part of gang culture is belonging as well. So like, so, you know, some people literally might be homeless or might have been kicked out, might live in in a home that's not safe or whatever it is, and then they find that belonging, and then attached to that belonging is doing certain things which isn't the best, but it's still your place of belonging. It's a complex issue, and
It's so
hearing
deep,
it's
yeah.
very deep, and there are of course people who just willingly step into it and
Wake up and choose violence. That's
and
a different
choose
one.
that, and
Yeah.
that's one type. And then there's the others who don't. It doesn't feel like they have the many other options, and then they just find themselves stuck in that place. But it always comes back to, because sociology is basically the study of human behavior, but in the context of society.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in human behavior because I'm interested in people, you know, but I'm interested in how that fits in with society and like the structures of society. So in this instance, you can see with gang culture that there are things you can kind of lead it back to. And be like, oh, that might have been a contributing factor for
Yeah,
why someone ended
definitely.
up there.
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
You can see the flowchart almost, but whatever point you look at it, you're like, this
There
is
could be an
stupid.
interjection
This
here.
is
There could be something here.
True.
Like it makes
True.
sense, but it's stupid.
It's still stupid, yeah. And I think at different points of times, those people are given chances or opportunities, you know, whether it's them in juvenile centre and they've got a youth justice person that's looking after them, or presenting them with options to redirect their path. Because I know people personally who even ended up in juvie and ended up redirecting their path with the help of a youth justice person, or just like that one person that believes in you, because that's really powerful as well. But yeah, you're right. Like, these things are still inexcusable, really. Yeah.
I think, because you mentioned about like, having that one person that believes in you, that, you know, it's not even necessarily someone in a position or something like that. It just might be someone that's really inspiring you, that sees you as a human being, as opposed to what everyone else sees you, right?
Exactly.
And it's like, we need to actually create more people, as opposed to trying to deal with, because I feel like all the time it's always pointing at the issue, you know what I'm saying, as opposed to looking at what's actually around it. That's also contributing to this kind of thing. It's like,
that's right.
Maybe we actually need to just start to create a lot more people that have the time of day for people like this. Because in the movie you have a guy who he's the top boy on the block, and then pretty much you get, like, they call them youngers, isn't it? How they introduce like the young ones, and then they prune them, you know. It's that whole kind of like pruning process, which is, that's another level of you know, we can talk about that, you know. It's like, they do that whole pruning thing. It's like, you can now level up. It's like, that is pretty much just someone believing in you, but it's a misdirected kind of belief.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And like, someone directing your path, or supporting you on that.
And it's like, if they had someone doing that, but in a different lane, that changes that whole trajectory of that individual's kind of like life. But
that's very true.
We
crazy.
do need like more of those people. But at the same time, it is kind of frustrating as well. That when you're always there for someone and they just continue to go back to that thing over and over and over, it almost feels like you're wasting your time always being there as well.
Definitely.
So now it's almost like, what's that balance of me always being there? Me always being there for you, number one, but like supporting you, but also not wasting my time as well. So that balance itself is also hard. And I think a lot of people kind of give up halfway through, because it's like, you're not listening to me.
Well, that's the thing. At some point, it's the person themselves that actually have to take the steps or action to get themselves out of it. And then of course, the help that they have around them can assist them, but nothing will happen until they want it. So you're right. If you're dealing with someone that hasn't really got to that point yet of like, it's a tough one, isn't it? But I think above all, protecting your energy in those situations is important. Like, if you can't change people, you know.
I mean, just speaking on like, you know, our area, Melbourne, Victoria, Australia in general, I think we've seen like the crime rates just within the African community kind of, you know, boost up in the past, 5 years or so, right? And if we're talking about like environment, if we're talking about influence and all of that, I feel like we never really, or maybe it's just me because I've never actually like noticed it or been in those type of environments to see how people act towards each other and stuff. But I feel like there isn't such a heavy influence or, you know, like criminal environment around us. So I don't know where all of this kind of sparked from, you know?
I was going to ask this, right? How much of Melbourne, because I understand the UK, a lot of it is that looking for a place to belong. I know America, obviously, that's how the whole thing started, right? Crips actually stand community revolution in progress, whatever, something.
And
it's like, so it's actually about coming together, right? But then it's like, how much of Melbourne's is like, we just want to replicate what we're seeing overseas?
Legit, that's exactly
what it is. From all the way
I'm
over
not going to
there.
say it's all that.
No, there is also
two sides to
there's also, I feel like I've seen a lot of external influence as well too, in terms of in terms of the people actually connecting some of these people to these type of activities as well. There's a lot of external kind of influence.
Don't say too much.
At least from what I've like heard and what I've kind of seen.
I want to see who's gonna say it.
If you caught it, you caught it. It's true.
If you know, you know. But it's like, I've seen how actual external hands kind of play
also, you know, I'll take it all the way back to 2009 because I had to learn about this during an essay I was writing. Essays.
Come on, buzzwords in that.
Dramatic essay. She remembers it 11, 12 years later.
So the essay was like a year ago or 2 years ago, but it was about 2009. So this is about Melbourne, 2009, the South Sudanese community. So what happened was, in the space of 3 months, 3 incidents happened in Melbourne. The first was a young boy was bashed at Noble Park Station and killed.
Sudanese boy?
Sudanese.
By Sudanese people? Or?
No, by non-Sudanese. And then the second instance was in Melton. Another Sudanese boy was bashed, not killed. So in two of these three instances, they're victims, yeah? The third one was a group of Sudanese boys caused a riot in response to something, but didn't hurt anyone or anything like that. Anyways, using those three things that happened, I think the minister of like something came on and was like, it looks like, just talking about this, it looks like, the African youth or the African people aren't integrating well into this society. And then they actually used that as a justification to cut down the amount of humanitarian visas that they offered all Africans the following year. I had to learn about this at uni. So it's like, you can also see how in the background, facts are being used for their own agenda. Because it's like, at the end of the day, they were actually victims in 2 out of those 3 instances. Do you know what I mean? But yet we're not integrating well. Yeah. So there's a lot to it. I feel there's so much to it. And I think like there's also that end of it where there's just like people are just being influenced by what they're seeing in the States, and trying to replicate that. But yeah.
Dang. Madness, man.
Bro, so many layers, man.
Yeah, that's
so many.
Yeah.
I saw many people looking into this sociology thing, man.
Sociology is
it's deep.
Yeah.
And that's what literature was like. That's my favorite subject to this day, because that's what we're looking into. Yeah.
No, because like it's deep. There's so many layers, and depending on who you are, you might fall victim to one aspect of that issue. Do you know what I mean? You could have been a good kid, but then spoiled as a result of an experience, or you could have just been someone who walked out of the house looking for trouble. Yeah. And so it's varied. Yeah.
It's tough because like obviously because I do like community stuff with Daniel and that, and we try to tackle these issues, but it's like, where do we even start? Right? It's like there's so many layers. There's lack of support. There is influence from friends. There is this. There is that. There is society
gap
as well. And everything. It's like we don't even know. And the fact that like different people fall under different categories as well.
Yes.
So it's like even if you tackle this, half of these guys are still out there. If you tackle that, half of them are still out there. So it's like, what can we do then?
True. It's like there's no uniform approach to addressing someone, and I think that's why it's about creating that safe space, but also really taking the time to get to know them, because sometimes it's just a confidence issue. Like sometimes they didn't have supportive parents who even positively affirmed them, Sometimes they would just put down and then now as a result, lack of confidence, easier to be influenced. It goes on. So it's just like, it's a tough issue we're dealing with. It's definitely not an easy issue to address.
Tough issue, because some of them I grew up with them, you know what I mean, and it's like, maybe it's lack of support in the house.
But you look at it like,
bro, parents were taking care of me when my mom was at work, right? You know what I mean. So it's like she was looking after all of us. So in terms of support, you got amazing support.
Support.
You had
support.
You
don't have to support me.
And sometimes you're right. Sometimes it's not that. Sometimes it's just choices we actually make.
And then now it's like where these choices coming from as well. Is it coming from what they see in music videos? Coming from movies. You know what I mean? But
it's very influential, the music videos, because I've spoken to people who have been influenced and have kind of spent years, they say they wasted their life in that gang culture sort of thing. And when they look back, they realize that the music, it's so much of it's in the music.
You are feeding your system that, to be honest.
And that's also a choice.
Yeah, it is, and it can influence the way you view women or the way you view other people.
It will, yeah.
I don't want to be with people that's like, video games, songs or whatever, but there is an element of something to it.
I can tell who you are by looking at your playlist. And also No's playlist, I don't know.
Looking at me interesting.
Looking at me dangerous. He's got a little D.O.D.
Oh, like, spin this creek, what's going on here?
That's so funny,
I wanted to ask a question because you mentioned something about hosting and TV. Not you didn't say
presenting,
TV, but presenting, and that's something you'd be down to kind of pursue,
yeah.
Do you think you have think? Whoa! Whenever kids back in primary school used to say "think" and stuff like that, what are you doing? Lelo, bro. Yeah, all of them ones. Do you think that we have a space for that in Melbourne?
Yeah. That's a really.
You know what I mean? Because I can see obviously a lot of the stuff, I feel like, especially Australia, we consume a lot externally, but then
Yes,
we mix
how
it
much
around,
yeah.
and then we try to create our own thing with it. I think that's what we're really kind of good at here in Australia, like absorbing and then repurposing.
True.
Yeah. But if we want to talk about like presenting and hosting and stuff like that, we can see how UK right now is kind of popping really
100%.
crazy.
Like Maya Jama is like what I want to do. That's what I want to be. You know what I mean? Like I just want to be like, it can be different environments. It could be for different themed shows, or sometimes it could be like very social justicey. Sometimes it could just be fun, you know? But I thought about that. I'm like, this is what I want to do, but like, can you even do this here? Like then 2 years ago, I came across Flex Mami, like shout out Flex Mami. Do you guys know her? African. So she's African Australian. She's from Ghana. And she lives in Sydney. So she's a Sydney-based podcaster, entrepreneur.
Oh yeah, I know this.
Card
She had
game,
the card game thing.
yeah, all of it. So when I came across her on her podcast, which is Bobo and Flex.
It's the one you play with my sister, I think. That one.
Gotcha.
I know that pod. Wait, is that the name
She's
of
from
the?
Sydney.
Yeah, she's from Sydney. I'll show you guys.
Very nice.
While we're here. And so like when I saw that, I'm like, whoa, like obviously she's kind of like the only one I'm seeing doing this, because she was even presenting for MTV, you know, in Sydney. And I'm like, but it's possible though. And this is why representation matters, because I finally believed I could do this. Yeah. This is her. She's really, really cool.
Oh yeah.
Really charismatic, really intelligent.
Communicates
amazing concepts and ideas.
That's a nice looking IG. Nice and
Yeah,
colorful
you know
too,
what I mean?
you know?
She's colourful. She's really creative.
alright.
She's amazing, actually. I really look up to her. But yeah, so I'm just like, I'm gonna make it happen, because before I left law, I was like, all right, I could stay here for another 2.5, 3 years. Or
If you question it before halfway mark, it's looking.
yeah, I know. I was like, or I could use it, because I'm like, at the end I'll have a law degree, and technically you can use a law degree to do the things I'm doing now, you know. But I could also just leave and use the next 3 years to build my path, literally create it in the world. And I did that slowly but surely. Do you know what I mean? And like even getting to the point of being on radio, having a platform.
Your thing.
Yes, I'm on radio once a week.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it's just kind of like you can
Shout it out, yeah.
Oh yeah, Brimbank Live FM.
Come on.
I've got 2 amazing co-hosts. One South Sudanese, one's Sri Lankan. So we're all coloured girls, and like we're an amazing
Name of the show? Oh,
Soul Dive.
Oh, Soul Dive.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like I just believe that we're finally in a time in Melbourne, in Australia, where we can create all of these spaces. Like I went to Sydney December to host an art exhibition for this Ghanaian photographer over there, and we had a panel discussion. And
I saw this.
So that was wild to me, because I'm like, I mean, that wasn't a job necessarily. It's because it's through my affiliation with an organization, but they like brought me over. But it's still like, okay, if I can do this once, well, this can happen again. We can create jobs for these things. You know, you need a presenter, you need a host. I'm trying to just make that happen, basically. But it doesn't exist in the capacity that it does in the UK, for sure.
So I have a theory. I think our current crop, our age group, like where we're at right now, doing these kind of creative endeavors and whatnot, I think we're going to push roads for a lot of people that are probably 13, 14 right now to become your Chunks and Philly of Australia.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like I think some people
maybe
from
even a
our
bit
crew,
older, because we're about to,
some people from our crew might end up, having that longevity and all that kind of thing. I think the vast majority are just building a thing for the younger ones.
Y'all better be appreciative. We're doing this
because we walk so y'all can run.
But like for real, like I think almost no one in our circle or our kind of thing, whatever city, will be able to host the Arias or something like that. But I reckon in 10 years, there will be a kid who's probably 12 right now that would be like, you're a great personality, go host it.
Yeah, you know what? Like, yes and maybe, you know? Because it could be, because I'm like, you know what? 10 years, we're like 34, 35. And look at, we're still going to look popping. I'm going to look fresh at 35 still. I plan on looking good at 35. I plan on looking useful. I plan on this mind being intact still. Like, as in, like, I know what you mean, but I also feel because of the times that we're living in, people are just doing everything at any age now. So it could, and you look at actors as well, and a lot of them tend to be these hosts in these spaces. It's just like anything could happen. But one thing I definitely agree is that there are certain things that will just be there for them that aren't there now, and we are building
bridges.
We are
things
absolutely.
like podcasting studios or
Yes.
networks and stuff like that. It's like
Exactly.
that's literally the ideas that are being sparked by around us now. It's
Exactly.
like now these facilities and structures are going to be ready and available. It's
and
like
they'll step
that's what would have
into
been
it.
nice, but they get to walk into that kind of thing.
How do you
So-
guys feel about this bit, like playing the role that we're playing, as opposed to
Cool with it.
yeah?
I'm cool with it. I think we're dope enough personalities that we will have longevity.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I'm glad
But
you
it's
believe
like,
that.
but it's like, I also think it's cool to build a path for young people. I like the idea of being it sounds really weird, but like,
Godfather.
Yeah, you definitely saw the flicker.
yes, like the celebrity to the celebrities almost,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like not everyone knows who you are, but everybody who's somebody knows.
No, so
this
like
person.
Wiley.
man walks in
People
the
know
room, oh,
Wiley.
snap.
Literally,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, Wiley in Graham.
Yes.
He's definitely appreciated by the ones who really
Right.
know
Who
what's
knows
up.
what's
up.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
I was gonna say, because I've heard of like a few people, you know, your basketball players, your musicians, your artists, all of these people, creative people who, you know, they start off here, but then they end up moving to like America to try and pursue their things. So in all that you guys were saying, are you basically trying to allude that people should stop going over there and just continue what you're doing here? Because it is hard, right? Because say I'm a rapper and I'm trying to get to a certain level. Right now, I don't necessarily see that happening. You know, I don't
Yes.
see them getting to your Lil Uzi or whoever the other rappers are. I don't know any other rappers' names, but you know, your celebrity, those big top celebrities. You know, like in Australia, just in general, I don't see that happening unless you take yourself out from here and go somewhere else where you can be, you know, picked up by your producers and all of that stuff. So is that like something that we should stop and just try and really feed into Australian culture, not Australian culture, but like try and, you know, build something here.
Talk to the mic,
Sorry,
man. The way you're waving it.
try and build something here rather than go over there.
Yeah.
And, you know, continue to build up America's, you know, culture and all that.
I feel you. I think like same way. I think it's like, so for example, you know, if I decide to have kids, I believe God will bless him with me with some kids.
Amen.
You know what I mean? If I don't, then I also believe he knows my heart and he won't. So I feel like it's just whatever you're up for, you know, like, because some people, they don't want that role. They don't want to play it. They don't want to build something. They actually just want to go and fit right in and
do
just,
my thing.
You know what? To those people, go and do that. If the ones who are a bit more invested in seeing the Australian culture pop off in a certain way or want to have their hand in it, stay because, you know?
It's true, because you need the people that are keeping this thing alive, that are just doing it solely for I'm doing this and I'm popping and people are consuming this content or whatever that might be. And you also need the people that are building this thing from the bottom up to have the legs. But it's like, if there's no hype for it now, it's just going to die. And now you're building legs for nothing, you know?
Yeah, but there's also things that are like, I think when it comes to entertainment, I lean towards stay where you are because your people are your best supporters. You know what I mean? And that will actually give you longevity. But when it comes to things like sport, you have to go where it's biggest.
Oh, yeah, true.
So like, it's not even in America or England. Like if you're playing like soccer, you've got to go to Europe.
Yeah.
But if you're playing basketball, you have to go to America. Well, you
Europe
can
or
do NBL.
America?
You know what I mean? Like, as
you're
in,
trying to-
it's really not a thing. But if you're a DJ, you could do that anywhere and tour everywhere.
That's true. So you're tying it closer to
depends
your
on your-
ability to be successful in that thing. Okay. Yeah.
And to even build bridges. Like, as in, it's cool seeing Patty Mills and all this. Well, for New Zealand, Steven Adams and whatnot. It's like you're in the NBA.
Yeah.
But that means a lot to where you're from.
Yeah.
You know, it actually is way more cool than if they would have stayed here.
True.
When
true.
Patty Mills, because Patty Mills plays for Spurs, when he gets a 3 in, the commentator goes, "Great, mate." And I was just like, wait. I was like, wait, what?
But then with
Like, he
entertainment,
kills it though.
but then with entertainment, like, what's the two biggest rap collectives or people out of Australia is the Kid Laroi and
Iggy.
1-4.
1-4.
Right?
Yeah. 1-4.
What did you say?
So embarrassing. At one point.
She didn't really deserve that.
But it's like, I look at 1-4 and I'm like, that is way cooler than what the Kid Laroi, because he actually did go America, all that kind of thing, and fair enough, did his thing, and it's great. But it's like, I'm like 1-4 is much cooler, where it's like ASAP Ferg's like, hey, come on a song with me.
Yeah, and that's
was he on?
He was on a bunch of
one of them was on. Yeah.
It's so like the music. I think it's toughest in the music scene because like I have so many artists around me, especially Sully being an artist, my older sis, and just a lot of my friends. And it's like one of those things where it is tough, you know, because the live music scene in Melbourne is very rewarding. Like there's a lot of live music gigs out there, so you can make good money. But then what you're doing is oftentimes you're performing like covers or backing, or you're not really expressing yourself as your own artist. And that's been like a frustration that's been expressed a lot of times. It's also like the pool of people that can really pop off as an artist is really tiny here, especially in that hip hop scene. So I think it's just one of those things where it's going to take time, but I agree with the entertainment. You're better off staying here and, you know, where people know you and support you and kind of relate to you. Because hip hop over there, they're rapping about basically their political situation over there. And it's very different over here. So, I mean, you can rap about what's going on in Australia over there, but it's just like, who's going to connect to it? I don't know.
Rap about the same drugs if it's not political stuff. So.
True. I think our hood... I think our hood scene, our hood situation's very different, and I think it stems from the gun laws itself being different. Yeah. You know, the reality of things are different, but I think it is. It depends. Yeah,
because if I'm a hot rapper right now, I'm not trying to stay here. Like right now,
take off. Yeah,
this will get deeper. If I'm like I'm at peak right now. What's the point? Like, because the scene is not hot here. Yeah?
But you only peak because of the people who are supporting you here, isn't it?
No, let's say peak in terms of like
international
my music,
recognition.
like let's just say I'm peak in terms of like my craft. Yeah, bro. Like I'm not trying to do it around here because the scene is not hot here. You know, I'm not getting that enough support for my music, if that makes sense, right? So I'm gonna go to a place where it's hot, where it's like record labels and mad connections there, like the maddest connection there, you know, and then just see where it takes me from there, you know. But if I'm a little bit younger or whatever, and you know, I'm doing other stuff as well, that's like, okay, cool, I wanna kind of grow in this environment. Yeah. But if it's like this, my main focus. And I'm at peak right now. Nah, bro.
Yeah, that's true. That's a lot of people who, because I also do like acting, and a lot of people who are actors had that same
list keeps
thing.
Going on.
Just creating, you know. I just love it. But and just a lot of people had that same dilemma. Like I didn't even pursue acting in the way that I probably would have when I was younger, because I recognized I was in a white Australia with not a big film and TV industry here, and I just didn't really want to go over there.
Best you could do is Neighbours, bro.
But Neighbours is your option.
That was it. Home and away on Neighbours. That's what's
and they actually know that overseas. Like they know Neighbours. And what's his name? Steve Irwin. Everyone knows Steve Irwin. It's just like
that's it. Australian knowledge done. Caps
done.
There.
Yeah. So I think it's one of those things for me, and what I'm doing right now. I appreciate being here. Because I think a lot of what I'm doing is touching on like our lived experience and the culture here, and I think we just all have to appreciate that Australia is such a young country, and that's it. It's just facts. Like we are a young, like 200 and something years old, versus the UK and the States who have been there for how much longer. So, and then when you think about when migration actually happened here, only Africans, I mean, I know that some Africans, especially like West, I think they came earlier, but the East Africans really started coming in like 90s, or late 80s, early 90s, and then onwards. So we're so young, like we're still the first generation, like our parents weren't even born here. So
and that's what's scary about it, the fact that we're so young, we could go either way. And I'm just like, bro, I pray that Australia doesn't go left with it, because my kids are going to go here and so on. Like the healthcare system is just beautiful. Everything is just so good right now.
It is.
So, but if things go through the roof, crime rates go through the roof, this goes through the roof. Now they started to cut off some stuff, and now it's like we're gonna be like other places.
Exactly,
now, right?
And Australia is a very unique place to live in terms of how the system supports you. Beautiful system. Healthcare alone is just a dream. Like, because in the States they're paying just for like.
If you don't have a job, you almost don't have healthcare.
Man,
exactly.
Bro, I go to the doctors about the same arm 4 days in a row, bro. Yeah, big man yesterday.
Literally.
Cool. See you tomorrow, Carlos.
See you tomorrow. Easy, bro.
Bulk bill that.
You better bulk bill that.
Oh, man.
Yes.
What was I even gonna ask? We are the movement. You are an ambassador for that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that's interesting, because that's like, so her name's Edem. She's a Ghanaian Australian living in Sydney, and she founded the movement. and she decided to start a social enterprise, basically, or an organization.
Social enterprise, man, you chat to her.
Yeah,
I like that.
So part business, part
Yeah,
organization, and like she has a huge vision, and she decided to build a national team because she wanted to she wanted this movement to be a whole, you know, Australian thing. So she slowly built that team, and one day she approached me to collaborate on something through Below the Surface. So she hit me up as the person behind the Below the Surface to do a project. So we decided to meet on Zoom and stuff like that and just talk about it. And in the end, like, we decided against like that project because it didn't make sense to go ahead with it based off a few things. But we forged a really good connection. Like, it was just a really good connection. And by the end of that call, like on Zoom, she was like, actually, I'm building my team for like We Are the Movement, and I actually need the Melburnian person. Like, I need the Melbourne rep. Would you be that person? And I was like, okay, like, let's sit on this. But it was just, you know, when it feels right, like you feel like God has put you there with that person for a reason. You're really connecting. She technically wanted to go ahead with that project, but I actually had to say no, even though I wanted to kind of work with her. And I think she saw that in me because she was like, you know, sometimes you need like a yes man as part of your team. Sometimes you need that real critical thinker, that person that can be like, nah, for this reason. And she was just like, yeah, can we work together? And I was like, actually, cool, because I'm seeing what this movement's about. It's really about improving like access to social services and like employment, and just changing the situation for like Africans, for migrants, and just for like BIPOC essentially. So I was just like, yeah, let's do it. So since then, like we've held a Sounds of Healing event, which was on Zoom. That was a mix between, do you know Sounds of Africa? SOA? Yeah, SOA.
I was like, wait, what's that? As soon as you said SOA, I'm like, jokes.
We don't normally hear.
The full word. Yeah, never normally hear.
Oh, true. Yeah, that's right.
You going SOA?
Yeah. It's actually tonight. Like, yeah. Guys, I already told you I'm calm with it.
Is it the move?
Huh?
Is it the move?
Maybe you should. Maybe you should.
Off air
chat.
Yeah. So and that was an amazing event because we spoke about generational trauma, the hypersexualization of like Black bodies, and decolonizing the mind, and we mixed that with music. So it was like performance, then it was like a guest person. I was a panelist, so I was the host, so I asked the panel members the questions, and then we did like another event, which was the exhibition. They're still doing events, like they're about to do an in-person event in Sydney, where they're going to discuss like diversity in the workplace, and they've teamed up with different organizations for it. I really connect to the vision of the movement, and I'm really happy to be a part of it. I'll probably end up in Sydney a few times. I mean, actually not this year, because let's be honest, coronavirus, man.
Hey, I'm staying this year.
Yeah, man. This year got real comfortable, man.
Yeah. And it's amazing because we're a predominantly Black women team, and I know it's different, but it's actually amazing to have, like, you know, it's different. Women leading. It's and we have a few guys, but it's majority Black women, which is different.
I heard the guys don't get a say. I don't know. I don't know.
It's your turn now.
Nah, he loves us. He works
with us in the board meetings, man.
Taking the minutes only.
I said, get me water.
That's sick. That's sick to change that dynamic like that.
Yeah. And so that's my involvement with the movement. So I'm also the ambassador, which means like hosting events when they come up.
Well, you seem like you do, like, you know, a lot of things and a lot of great things, and I just commend you on all of it. But like when you are by yourself and when, you know, everything's gone, everyone's gone, how do you like just ensure that you're at a right mind to be able, because in order to help other people, or in order to, you know, sow into people's lives, you need to be able to do it for yourself as well. So what do you do when you're on your own, or what kind of activities? Or, you know?
That's a really good question. That's something that I always have to come back to remind myself to do a bit better of a job at. But for the most part, I guess I'm really blessed to have a really beautiful family. You know, like I have amazing parents that really awesome. That are just such amazing supports, and like they feed my heart, my mind. My dad's definitely been my biggest teacher. my mom. They're both amazing people that I really look up to. I would say it's literally the people that carry me as well, because everything flows from my relationships, like my energy for life, my desire to do certain things. It flows from my love for people. So me staying in touch and in tune with the people around me that I love and feeding those relationships is something that gives me the energy actually to keep going, because I'm an extrovert, and that technically means like you're energized by your interactions rather than, the opposite. Yeah. So I find myself, if I'm with people all the time, I'm being charged up again and again. But on top of that, that's one thing I struggle with. And I think the back injury is an instrument that God's using to always be that thing that grounds me a little bit, because it's that thing that I have to like sometimes just come back to myself, like, all right, take it easy here. Yeah.
Lydia, you're doing too much now. Yeah. Come on.
Exactly. So there's that. But honestly, try to eat, like I do appreciate the health as well. And ever since my back injury, it's something that, obviously, a cheat meal or two. It's hard to escape still.
Cheat meal or two every day.
Every day, cheat day or 3 or 4. But I try to be healthy. I try to write. I try to make sure I express myself. This is the biggest thing. I think I need to have people around me, and I finally, not that I haven't, but I finally have it as in this capacity that I've never had it before. People around me who truly understand me. Do you know what I mean? And who I understand as well. And that's just means that, I can be encouraged in certain ways, or they can speak to me, or they can tell me to slow down.
Properly.
I had someone at the basketball tournament be like, yo, Lydia, man, I'm going to tell you, slow down. But I don't even have the same, I'm about to work on it now. I don't have a routine when I wake up like a lot of people do. I don't have that same routine. I don't have this magical way to do it. It's just the people, my faith, I should mention that. It's just that it's something that I'm still a little rocky with, but it's if I'm really being honest with myself, it's my faith in God. It's my relationship with God and with the church and the people in my life that are Christian that also really carries me.
100, man.
Yeah. So it's just that.
I can fully attest that. That's what's grounding me every time where I've been. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When it's all said and done, and man comes back and look at myself in the mirror.
What you doing?
To God, cause
There was one thing that you did mention in terms of health. I know before, it's going back a bit, but when you were talking about when you started getting the tingles and then you were like, okay, I'm going to go get it checked out. And then Daniel looked at you crazy like, oh, really? You got yourself checked out?
Okay, you asked us something different.
And
it's,
maybe it's the same thing. I don't know. But there's such a common thing where it's with Africans, even for him as well. He's had multiple injuries and he's like, oh, nah, I'll be fine. I'll heal eventually, right? I guess you can just talk on how important it is to really just get checked out. If something is wrong, just go and get checked out,
No, let's talk about it.
I only know one person. Obviously, we all know who it is. Feels a little
running, the doctors.
Man said, I just did a full body scan, bro. I felt a little something in my neck.
Legit, he gets 5-6 scans a year. I was like, bro.
I mean, we say we're fortunate enough. We have the resources to be able to do it, but we don't.
Right. And this is the thing, because yes, there's such thing as sucking it up and just, keep going.
You're not supposed to suck up
You're not supposed to suck it all up.
Everything,
And in this instance, it was actually the I took the initiative, right? So I took the initiative to find out what was happening, but the people who had to have the expertise.
So this is what I was going to ask you, because, do you think this kind of interplays with some of the things you've mentioned in terms of the Black experience? Yeah. Do you think that plays into the strength? Do you think that kind of, because you said you were frustrated that that didn't really
I had to accept a few things, because I'm all right, in actual reality, detecting a spinal injury of this nature is tough. They could have been more curious and been they could even direct me if you want to understand what's happening, you can do an MRI scan that kind of gives you that objective insight into what's happening. But I didn't get that guidance, and that's what annoyed me, because I feel like maybe you could have at least given me an option to keep searching for this. But what I think is there's a serious issue with especially Black women, but actually ethnic people, in terms of how valued their life is
Yeah.
at that point in the doctor's room or something like that. And stats actually like support this, because you'll see a lot of black women, highest number of women who die whilst giving birth is black women, and that's actually related to the pain. That they're expecting to have pain, they're not necessarily believed for it, they're not treated as a result. It's really deep, and like these, like systematic racism is not just through laws, it's through the medical system itself. Like it could be just literally, I care a little bit less about your life, and as a result I'm gonna do one less thing to investigate what you're saying you're going through. Like it can be really, it's so layered, you know what I mean? These things are so layered. So I feel like what I've come to like accept is it's important to accept that human fault is a reality of life. So despite the fact that like doctors spend years training to become a doctor, they actually can make a mistake too. So I think it's important it's important to trust your gut, because my intuition already told me for a fact something was really off. But it's important to take that further and maybe get a second opinion. I think I could have got a second opinion. And it's all fun and games when it's just a little thing on your thing, but when it's like a thing that's your back, and then you would say you should check that out.
And also, put the thing on the thing. Keeping a log and stuff like that is important as well, like the medical log, in terms of if you felt this, write down when that was. Track that as well, you know, when did I feel this again? Because presenting that history, you can also now escalate that. You know what I'm saying?
And you can, and it's important to take yourself seriously and validate yourself when you're experiencing something, because you know your body more than anyone. And sometimes it's just the intuition that's telling you that something really needs to be checked out here, and other people don't have your intuition, so they can't.
I wonder what it is with ethnic people, like in general, that just, it's like, we don't go to the hospital. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I've got a loved one in my family where it's like she passed away because she just didn't do pap smears.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's like she had a issue, and it's like,
and you're supposed to do it every 5 years.
You should still be alive. You know what I mean? But it's like, it's just, we don't do that.
Yeah. And you know what? Sometimes it's a lack of education. Yeah. In a sense, it's literally just health like we're not. Yeah, and then sometimes it's obviously you come out of your circumstances. You're used to addressing your body and your health in a certain way because that's all you had. It's
like this is a different environment. Like what are you talking about? Regular checkups.
Yeah, regular checkups. Or
you know what I'm saying, the only time it's ever is if my leg's about to come off. Yeah. That's the only time I was ever gonna rock out.
There's no blood.
Calm.
It's not bad.
You know.
But what gets me, and this is the thing that tells me you should be very proactive about your health, is like there are too many like diseases or sicknesses that or deaths that result from that thing growing or that thing escalating, you know what I mean? So it's like that little thing your body had, that little growth turned into that. Had it been caught earlier, you would have been fine. But so for that alone, we need to act now, you know?
100%.
Because we just don't know.
Really important.
That health literacy, man.
A health session, and this lady was telling us between this age and that age,
this
is the scans and this is the tests you should be going through. I'm like, bravo. There's like 5, and I'm like, I haven't gone any of them, and then
you still haven't gone yet.
You're who we're talking about.
Me and this guy, 3-4 years ago now,
probably.
We were like, apparently, always waking up with a dry mouth is a sign you might have diabetes, right?
Yeah.
Apparently, I don't know. I heard that from my dad, and so it was happening to me, and I was like, I'm gonna go get a blood test. Yeah. And this guy at the same time was like, I actually need to do a blood test for this stuff as well.
Right.
I did my blood test. Results came negative. Praise
Amazing,
God. This guy still hasn't done his blood test.
How long ago was this?
About
3-4 years.
You know how many times I've gone to the GP and gotten the form for it?
The guy still
has it.
I've gone to the GP like about 3-4 times in that space and gotten the form for it, and I just never filled it out and sent it.
And we feel that's one thing, because we actually are very young, so we feel invincible. And I think
the fear of like, I don't want to find out what might be going on.
There's a bit of that, but you kind of sure so you can deal with this.
Really should. And it's mad. We're running sessions talking about you should. And man ain't even taking the advice, man. It's different when it comes down to it, you know.
It's like
Mandela.
You
told me you haven't done any of the tests yet.
It's like Mandela. He was like to me, so did you make a vision board? I got my vision board. I started making. I'm actually yet to go back to and spend a whole day on it because I've just been. It's not even good enough. Like, you know what I mean? But like, I've spent the time reflecting and I've written it down, and I just need to put it on. But shout out to Mandela for holding me accountable because it's important. Yeah.
What?
Say, look at that camera.
Nah, trust. I like this one better.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Anyways, man. Yeah. Hey, we're
Really
keen to see.
important.
We're keen to see what comes up next for Bloody Surface and just anything in general that you're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Yeah, man. You got some dope different things coming up.
100%, 100%.
There's many ideas.
Crew will
Definitely.
work on something amazing.
You guys are amazing people.
Oh, bless,
I was
bless.
already following you, actually. It's just I hadn't taken the time to properly listen. Like,
It's
but
an
I
effort, not gonna lie. Yeah, it's an
It was-
effort to
so
be able
much
to
is
sit down
happening,
sometimes,
yeah.
yeah.
The
But
3-hour
I was-
episode turn her off, huh?
Oh man, yeah, it's a long episode.
Yeah,
man.
he said on the
love
way
it
here,
though.
he's like, I can talk, man. I told him I can talk. How long you
What
want
comes
to
to mind?
want
Like,
us?
can we give him a mic or like, I don't know, we'll be here for time. Bro. Yeah, man. Hey, nah, that's been dope, man. I guess if there's anything coming up that you'd like to shout out to the people.
Ooh, there's a few projects in the works,
Yeah.
but nothing to necessarily shout
No, it's
out.
just
Like
yet, yeah,
my
yeah.
main thing is I really want to take those magazines. I want to do a full print magazine. So like
that's sick.
from the photo shoot to the print. Like I wanted to.
Say no
to-
more. I'm subscribing to that one.
Yeah.
That'll be dope.
So
That'll
and
be
there's
dope.
definitely other experiences that I want to explore. So that might come up. I might,
Yeah.
ask you guys to be on the mag one day if you don't mind. Little writing. Yeah. So
This is I might talk to you after this. I've been down to do a blog for time.
Oh, yeah?
But effort in terms of timing, but also how to really do this.
Yeah.
It's time.
okay, we'll chat. 100%. We've
But,
got each other. Got to support each other.
Feel me?
Sure, for
But yeah, man. I think that's all I say. I don't know if there's anything else.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Disruption Podcast.
Yeah.
Where can they follow Lydia?
Yes, sir.
Yourself.
So it's Lydia Tesema _.
It'll be here somewhere.
That's LYDIATESEM.
Hey.
Hey. And we'll chuck it here. It'll be in the
That's it.
description and
And
all them
Bloody
things there
Surface.
as well. Yeah. Bloody
Yep.
Surface,
It's great
that'll be
having
there
you.
too,
Thank you
man.
for coming.
Make sure
me.
you follow us, subscribe, comment, do whatever you want to do. Share this with somebody, and
Watch out for your back. Stay healthy in them ones.
That's
You feel me?
it. Watch out.
Oh, hey, no, get in.
All right,
Come
thanks,
on,
guys.
Kaz. Yeah, that's a nice shot. No, shut up. Oh, true. We out. Lock it off. Done.
Walk off.
everything look off.
Yes, sir.
Ooh, that was fun.
Thank
Oh,
you.
quite